AirArms. So it's just one pellet in this target, bottom left hand side. So welcome back to part 2, and this is all about performance. And in front of me we have the Gamo Roadster 10X GEN2. I guess the question I'm going to ask myself is, was I wrong to expect too much of this rifle? We'll find out. So what you're about to see basically is me shooting outside at 30 meters, and I suppose I'm pushing it with that distance, but look, if anybody's going to buy this rifle, they will be tempted to use it for maybe some field work. It's certainly kicking out enough power at 11.31 foot-pound of energy, and that's more than enough to do some vermin control or some ratting, maybe some feral pigeon work, that sort of thing. So yeah, let's see how it performs. Hello, so we're outside obviously, the target is set at 30 meters, and this is basically what I'm shooting at. Now each one of these targets has a radius of 25 mil from the red cross to the outside ring, so a complete diameter of 50 mil or 2 inches. And the point of this test is basically to see which pellet the rifle prefers. Now I've got 5 types to go at. So we've got the Bizley long range golds, we've got the Jasby match Diablo exacts, we've got the AirArms Diablo fields. These are new to me. I've got the Norma, sorry, Golden Trophy FT heavies, and last but not least we've got the RWS Superdomes. I'm going to put one full magazine in each of those targets. I'm going to start off with the AirArms Diablo fields, and I'm going to aim for the top left hand target. So this basically, I'm not too worried about whether I'm near the bull or not, I just want to see how it groups. So obviously here I've got the Gamo Roadster 10X GEN2. It's a gas ram. It doesn't have an automatic safety, it's got a manual safety, and that's located just in front of the trigger. And before I cock the rifle I put it into safe. Now to put it into fire mode you click that forward and she's ready to go. So this is top left hand target. And the nice thing about these multi-shot rifles is that you don't have to try and feed the pellet in each and every time. Now you might have noticed that I've changed my normal rest. I've gone away from this and I've gone away to my homemade rest because this is a little bit more suited to me. It's a little bit more sturdy as well, and I think the rifle just sits on it better. probably tell that we've got a bit of a breeze, but nothing really to worry about. Okay, that's me out. Wasn't very happy with that group at all. So we'll try the JSB Match Diablo Exacts next. And this time we're aiming at the top right hand target. Again, like I say, all I'm worried about is trying to create a group. Sun's coming out now. Last shot. Well, I've got to say there's not a lot of difference between those and the AirArms Diablo Fields. So apologies, but I just need a minute or two to reload. So we're going to be using the Bizley long range golds. And these magazines are actually quite nice because they're very simple to use. There's no cover to rotate. You simply pop the pellet in, nose first, rotate it to the next one, and carry on. And it has, the magazine within it has an anti-slip mechanism, so if you do just let go of it, it goes back to the last hole that you filled. That's it. Okay, so as I say, Bizley long range golds next, and this time we'll go for the bottom right hand target. That's in. pulled that one. And I pulled that one. So this should be the last shot. Okay, so of the three types so far, I'm preferring these. There seems to be a bit of a group emerging. Definitely two shots that I pulled. Yeah. So they're my favourites so far. And then the Norma's up next. And this is going to be bottom left hand target. I'll finish this magazine off, but I'll say now that this Gamo does not like those Norma pellets. That's the last shot coming now. Yeah, so that's, of all of them so far, that's the worst group. So we'll discount those. And then finally, the old cheap and cheerful RWS Superdomes. Let's see how these perform. You never know, they might surprise us. Right. I'm like all fingers and thumbs today. Okay, that's loaded. Let's see how these perform. So this is going to be the centre target. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it on this one. It's really going all over the shop. One more. No point going on with those. So as you can see, the grouping wasn't great, no matter what pellet I used, but I did settle for the Bizley long range golds, these at the end. Now, one thing I will say, I really don't like this cat trigger. It has excessive first stage movement and excessive second stage movement, and not only that, when it does actually finally release the sear, it takes quite a lot of effort to do that. And I did feel at one point that I was really gripping onto the pistol grip to give me that leverage in order to try and pull that trigger smoothly. And on a few occasions I did feel myself snatching. Now, I had a look at Gamo's website, had a look at BSA's website, and tried to, and also on YouTube, trying to find out how best to adjust this trigger. It's not something that I'd like to do because it's not my rifle, it's been lent to me, and in all honesty I think that rifles should be shootable straight, you know, from the shop. However, because it was so uncomfortable, I thought I'll give it a go. I'll see if I can actually make some adjustments, fine tune that trigger and give it the best chance I can give it, and on the accuracy section of the test. Now look, camera probably won't pick it up, excuse me, but within the trigger blade itself there's a very small screw, and that apparently adjusts the first stage movement, and then behind the trigger there's another screw which adjusts the second stage movement. On this rifle, both are maxed out, you know, and to be fair, I couldn't even loosen the second screws behind the trigger blade, and I dared not put any pressure on that because I didn't want it to, you know, to strip the thread. So I left it alone, and I thought, well, I'm just going to have to persevere when it comes to the accuracy test, and that's what I did. The other thing with the rifle, the scope, I mean the glass is clear, and you know, I said it in the design and build, it's adequate, but you know what, if it was my gun I would swap it for a better scope. It's as simple as that. The one thing that I found it didn't have was the parallax adjustment, and that was noticeable out at 30 meters. So yeah, you know, I'm pushing it, shooting at that distance, but at the end of the day it's got more than enough energy, you know, it's got more than enough kind of power to knock down rabbits at 30 to 40 meters, and I'm sure somebody will try and do that. Hence the, you know, hence the 30 meter target. Anyway, have a look at the next bit of footage, see how I performed with regards to the actual accuracy test, and then you can make your minds up, and I'll catch you back here afterwards. Okay, I'm not going to lie, I've taken quite a few shots to try and zero this in. I've got it near and near enough. Now, what I will say about these magazines, although I like them, it is important that you make sure the pellets are seated properly within the magazine, and there is a rubber O-ring that you've got to push past to get the pellet properly seated. So I've used a pellet probe to just make sure that they're properly in the mag, because I think that's what's been affecting my accuracy in the previous test, and also in trying to sight the rifle in. So here we go. I've gone with the Bizley long range golds. I'm going to put a pellet in each of the outer targets, and I'm going to do a group of 6 in the center target. I'm going to start off with the bottom left and let's see how this performs. So it's just one pellet in this target, bottom left hand side. Bottom right hand side. Top right hand side. Top left hand side. Now for the group in the centre target. And this will be my last shot. Okay. So there you have it, there's the accuracy test over and done with. What can I say? Well, the outer targets, the single shots, in all honesty, they were alright. It performed quite well. I mean, obviously that third shot was a little bit further out than the other three, but yeah, I was happy with those. And then when it came to the group, it all went to pot. And that's basically been the story of my shooting with this rifle, my experience of shooting this rifle. Now let's not forget, this whole package comes in at £250, so it is a budget rifle, you know, no two ways about it. And it's an amazing amount of gear for that money, it really is. So I think you have to bear that in mind. And was I wrong to expect, you know, so much of it? Maybe I was. However, you know, it's my job to scrutinise things, it's my job to be really picky and let you guys know my opinions. And I guess where I'm really disappointed in the fact that, and worried, is that this rifle kicks out a lot of energy. You know, it's right up there. 11.31 foot-pound is what I achieved, and with heavier pellets I'm sure you'll get very close to the 12 foot-pound limit here in the UK. And that's a rifle that is powerful enough to take the life of an animal. You know, I think it's important therefore that it should be accurate, and that animal, if somebody does take a shot at it, is humanely dispatched quickly and cleanly. So, you know, it needs to be accurate, and I've really struggled. I have, as I said, I really did not like the trigger setup. the scope is okay, but it could be a lot better. And you know, there is something going on with the indexing of these pellets. Like I said, I'd like, the rotary mags are okay. You know, they're simple to use, and they're you know, there's not a lot that can go wrong with them, except you must ensure that the pellets are seated properly within the magazine. And I guess with time, with a bit more experience, you know, whoever takes on this rifle could well become a very good shot, because you'd need to be to consistently shoot accurately with it. It does take some getting used to, that's for sure. And you know, would I swap this for my Virarc HW77K? I'm sorry, but no, I wouldn't. And is there a lot of difference between the two rifles with regards to quality and accuracy? Yeah, there really is. There really is. But again, let's not forget, this rifle is coming in, it's being sold for £250, brand new, 269, 270 pounds. It's a real, you know, it's a really, how can I say it? If you're coming into the game, if you're starting, then I would seriously consider it as a first purchase, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Now look, let me sum up. I've got my score sheets here in front of me. I'll just give you a quick rundown as to how I've scored the rifle. Please bear in mind again that, yes, I'll say this again, £250. So we are talking a budget rifle. Saying that, it's still, when I put the figures into the formula and I had a good look and a good think about what it has to offer in the different categories within this section, it's fared pretty well. It's got an overall score of 3.6 out of 5 stars. Now that's better than a few of the PCPs that I've recently reviewed. I'm going to start off with handling. So it weighs in at 3.1 kilos or 6.83 pounds, and the balance point is 495 millimeters from the butt, so it's about here where my finger is. In all honesty, with regards to handling, you know, it's lightweight and it shoulders nicely. It really does. To be fair, it suits off the shoulder shooting more so than bench rest shooting. Yeah, so for handling, I've given it a score of 4 out of 5 stars because there's nothing really to fall out with. Now with regards to loading, well, you know, we've got these 10-shot magazines, rotary magazines, and I can't really complain with these, except for the fact that, you know, you've got to make sure that the pellets are seated properly within the mag. So use a pellet probe or something just to push them in. If you've got longer nails, you'll be alright, but my thumbnails are quite short and they just weren't long enough to make sure those pellets were seated properly. The magazine capacity, look, it's a 10-shot mag, so it's not going to score high as some of those rifles out there on the market at the moment that have got 30-shot mags, you know, so I have to be sensible about this. But even so, I've given the rifle for loading 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, a good score. Now the trigger, I've already spoken about the trigger. I've scored it 2.7 out of 5 stars. Out of the box, it's okay, but it's heavy. You know, ease of adjustment, no, it's not great. Predictability, again, not great. So for me, it's too heavy and there's too much travel, you know, in first and second stage. Right, accuracy. Now this is so frustrating because I was hoping for great things from this rifle, especially as it's got a BSA barrel to it. I've actually scored it 2.4 out of 5 stars, which isn't great. That's, you know, below okay in my mind. And it's a shame because, you know, the single shot accuracy test, those 4 outer targets, it did alright. And when I put the actual distances into the formulas, so the minimum distance from the cross was 7.33 millimeters. The maximum distance was, let me get this right, 17.36 millimeters. It actually gave a score of 3.8 out of 5 stars, which is, you know, that's a very good score. But this is what let it down, and why on earth it started grouping like that, I honestly have no idea. But I've got a distance there from the furthest pellets of 48.53 millimeters as a diameter of that group, and you know, that's just basically knocked it off the charts. Unfortunately, I could only give it, you know, half a star. Yeah, it's really frustrating. And of course, I can't help but say the rifle is pellet fussy. You know, you've seen me try 5 different types of pellets. I ended up settling with these. So yeah, for the accuracy side of things, 2.4 out of 5 stars. It's a shame. Power and adjustment, well, look, you know, I've said it before several times, it's kicking out 11.31 foot-pounds of energy, giving a speed of 593 feet per second. Yeah, it's right up there, so it's achieved 4.5 out of 5 stars for that. Shot count, unlimited. So again, I can only score it 5 out of 5 stars for that. It does take a little bit of effort, but I'm not reliant on a cylinder that will have 30 or 40 or 80 shots to it. You know, it's a pay-as-you-go, as it were. Now, noise levels, it's okay. So at the muzzle I recorded 87 decibels, and 2 meters from the muzzle 79 decibels. So all told, it achieved a score of 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is good. It's got a bit of bark to it, you probably heard that on the video, but it's not bad. And the last category, the last topic, of course, is value for money. How have I scored it? Well, look, I'll say it again, £250 for all of this and the case. Because when I come to assess value for money, it is tied in with the accuracy element. I've scored it 3.2 out of 5 stars. If it was just on cost alone, it would be 5 out of 5 stars. But because the accuracy side of it has let it down, and at the end of the day, you know, we're buying a rifle to put a pellet where we want it to go at distance, downrange. You know, that's the whole point of a rifle. I've had to knock the score down, so 3.2 out of 5 stars. But again, listen guys, that's not a bad score, not a bad score at all. So there you go, that's my review over and done with for the Gamo Roadster 10X Gen 2. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next up is going to be the Crowd Puncher Night in .177, so I'm really looking forward to that. And of course guys, wrapping it up, as always, please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. You know, the more subscribers I get, the more chance I've got of actually making this work. And of course, again, if you've liked what you've seen, give us a thumbs up, that helps, and share amongst your friends and family. You know, numbers is good for this game. One last point, as always, if you've got any rifles or any shooting accessories that you'd like to sell, or if you're looking to buy, don't forget to pop over to our website, www.thegunlocker.com. thegunlocker.uk is open to everybody across the globe, not just within the UK, but obviously we can't deal with those sanctioned countries. So that's it for now. Until the next one, take care and goodbye.